The National Park Service, entrusted with the care of a nation's heritage. Since 1916, its remarkable corps of dedicated employees has...
We wrote a script for this program, but it turned out to be one we'd written before. So instead of talking, we decided to listen to some of the people you supervise.
Some of them, I think, probably feel trapped by budgetary constraints, by the devastating flow of paperwork, which has become the parks. Not really the park outside, but the flow of paper, all the regulations, the Neanderthal hiring system that we have, and firing system, doesn't really permit getting the best employees anymore, doesn't permit taking care of seasonal people the way they should. And a lot of people in management cave into this and let it go. Instead, we jump through these crazy hoops and play these stupid games. And the Park Service has lost an awful lot of people because of it.
Your boss or supervisor who would like to see you go to a higher level, it seems that that's a very difficult thing for he or she to get by the personnel office without a lot of hassle. And even though we might be doing that work and really are probably merit the increase in grade, it seems to be a very difficult thing to do. Yet there are other people who are working at that grade level that you see that are may not be doing work or as good work as people at lower graded level.
You don't have people from the upper echelons riding in the cars on night patrol. You never see them in the backcountry. I know when I was working trails, I'd go for a year at a time without any supervision whatsoever. So what does that tell you about the evaluation process?
I've been working for the Park Service for a long time, and I remember about a year ago I saw on one of our bulletin boards in one of the districts, one of the employees was advertising her furniture for sale, and I thought, God, is she moving? I didn't know she was moving. And I went and asked her, and she said, well, no, I'm not moving, but my mother is sick, and I need to go visit her. And I thought, this woman is selling her furniture so she can have enough money for a plane ticket to visit her sick mother, you know. That's the first time I ever felt really ashamed about working for the National Park Service.
Yeah, when I meet other state rangers or other rangers from other agencies, they ask how much I make. I never tell them. I'm just too embarrassed to.
Okay, I left the National Park Service about a year ago because the pay was such that it was an incredible economic hardship for me to remain. I didn't realize exactly how bad the pay was until when I was briefly on unemployment. I discovered that I was actually clearing $12 a week more by being unemployed than by being a full-time paid ranger.
In my last quarters assignment, the carpets were rotting in places from leaking plumbing, and they had a severe smell of dog and cat urine that couldn't be removed by cleaning or deodorizing. Fleas and ticks were local residents often found in my bed at night, and the rodent population seemingly never dropped, even though I was trapping 10 to 12 mice per week.
I work in an urban park where my rent is $550 a month for a small studio apartment, and that's considered a bargain. I was considered lucky. My take-home pay is $880 a month. So, of course, I had to get rid of my car. I couldn't afford that anymore. It's pretty crazy, and I don't know how much longer I can last.
We've talked several times, my husband and I have, about having children. There's no way we can afford to have child care in this city, so we have put off having children. I'm getting to an age now that's becoming critical, and I'm looking around trying to find other jobs in other areas where they supply housing, and most of the jobs that I see don't supply housing. Probably one of the most heartbreaking things I saw recently was visiting a friend in another park and just got a permanent job, And the housing that they've provided him is a trailer that he shares with 2 other people that was condemned 3 years ago. So I realize it's not just this area, it's not just the high cost of living in the cities that have problems, it's the entire Park Service that doesn't seem to credit their employees, they don't seem to value us as people, and a proof of that is just the sort of things that they're asking us to do. In these same areas, they're building new houses that are being occupied by concessionaires. Then they wonder why there's a bad attitude between the concessionaires and the Park Service. They need to treat...
I'm a second-generation NPS employee, and I would not recommend this lifestyle for my children.
In most parks that I've been in, offices are very cramped. There's a lot of material that has to be there. Most people don't have a desk space or a personal space of any kind in which to work.
That's bad, but the worst of all is every day sitting with some guy who's either incompetent or lazy, and the Park Service doesn't seem to be able to do anything about it. Pay's bad, but what is even worse is I could take the pay easier if I was with a crack bunch. I'm not talking about the mediocre ones, but can't we somehow find the steel to get rid of the bums? And that would fix morale faster than anything else I can think of.
We're not paying our bills on time. Quite often we do our best to conduct business with minorities and small-owned businesses, but they are exactly the kind of people who cannot afford for us not to pay our bills on time. It was recently in my park, our rangers had to walk into a store where we had been extended a blanket purchase order, only to see a large sign behind the desk that said, "Do not extend credit to the National Park Service." It was very embarrassing.
Before I became a ranger, I worked in the mental health field for a few years, and I left that to join the Park Service. And I can't help but see, with the background that I have, the effects that the poverty is having on the staff level of GS4s, GS5s, and GS7s even. People who are moving all the time, who can't begin a stable relationship, who can't find people willing to date them because their income is so ridiculous, who have cars that are always falling apart, unreliable, who essentially are living kind of a marginal existence that we associate with homeless people. And you see the effects on them in these blows, these daily blows to their self-esteem and their sense of self. On one hand, you feel proud about being a ranger working for the Park Service, and on the other hand, inevitably, there's this buildup of feelings of worthlessness and feelings of helplessness in the face of not being able to pay bills, having to borrow money, having to rely on other people for food, always feeling like there's really no place you can hang your hat and call it home. It's bad. It's real bad.
This the job, if you're not careful, can eat you up. You feel a responsibility for the park, for the resources, and for the people. And you know you don't have the wherewithal, you don't have the money to do what needs to be done. And as the manager, you've got to suck all this up, suck it all in, and not show stress. You tend to keep it inside to set an example, whatever. And if you start having problems, it's hard to find a place to go. The job can eat you alive.